pleased with the kind of football players that we were able to attract to come to our school this year. There's a lot that goes into putting in having a successful recruiting class. I think first of all it starts with your assistant coaches and the great job that they do, and this is a long process now. I mean, at least probably a year or more in recruiting guys and getting started on recruiting of younger and younger players, which makes it even more difficult on the coaches because you're trying always to find the younger guy and get started on him earlier and earlier and earlier. It makes it more difficult to probably evaluate players and develop the kind of relationships relative to the rules that we had. But I thought our coaches did a tremendous job of identifying players, identifying talent, sort of satisfying some needs that we had relative to some areas where we had a significant amount of graduation, establishing relationships with these guys and their families. But also, you know, our players do a fantastic job of, you know, hosting these players, developing relationships with them and help us in recruiting, as our administration does. Dr. Witt has always participated in our recruiting. Mal Moore always participates in our recruiting. The university community here does as fine a job as any place that I've ever been or ever coached in terms of John Devers and the academic people here contributing from an academic support standpoint, as well as providing informative academic information about majors and spending their time on weekends to visit with players, and that's always a significant part of what we need to do. And I think the whole family and the whole team here, including our fans, the support, the passion that they show, whether it's in support of the A-Day game. Now, you guys know that I'm not really much into the ratings and really don't even know how we are rated and really don't much care, you know, how we're rated. And every year I try to come up with some analogy to sort of put in perspective how you should rate recruiting classes. And maybe I've told you this one before, but if we went out to buy a hunting dog and it was a puppy, we would buy it based on its potential, lineage, whatever you want to call it, in terms of breeding, and we would know probably when that dog grew up whether it was a good hunting dog or not. And we would never know until we put him out in the field and saw him actually go hunt. But we would buy it without knowing for sure what that result would be. And I think, you know, recruiting is not an exact science, and really it takes about 2 years to really evaluate whether you had a good recruiting class or not. So if we really wanted to figure it out, we should be talking about the 2008 recruiting class right now. How good was the 2008 class? You know, whether it was Julio Jones, Mark Ingram, Marcel Darius, Mark Barron, you know, whoever you want to, Dante Hightower, whoever you want to talk about in that class now has been out on the field and proven to some degree that they're good players. And there's many other players in that class that are good players, and there's some other players that haven't had an opportunity to contribute that will contribute in the future as well. And, you know, there's one thing that I always say to players when we recruit them, and a lot of these players make decisions based on where they can play next year. And the fact of the matter is not a whole lot of players actually play when they're freshmen, and only a few start and some contribute. And we've certainly had our share contribute here. I think 2 years ago we had 4 newcomers start and 14 players play, and you know, last year we had a significant number of guys that played as well and made an impact on our team. And we always want to give these players an opportunity to play when they're freshmen. But are you going to be a better player when you're a senior in high school than when you're a freshman? And I think if you ask that question to any player, they would say, I'm a much better player now than I was when I was a freshman. And I think the same thing can happen when they get to college. They're going to improve each year. They're going to get bigger, stronger. They're going to have better knowledge and experience, and they're going to be able to participate. And that's why I think that the true rating of a recruiting class comes somewhere down the road when you look at how many people in that particular class turn out to be the kind of players that we think they might be. And, you know, we're very pleased because we have a unique circumstance in this class that we have 11 players, 7 new freshmen, 1 junior college transfer, 3 holdovers from a year ago and a transfer from another school that are all here at mid-semester who are going to be a part of our team. And they're going to be here for spring practice. They're going to be here for off-season program. And that's going to enhance their development. And we feel very fortunate that we have quality players here that may impact our team and have given themselves a better chance to impact our team because they're going to be here a semester early. So I think that that's going to enhance their development. You know, Kareem Jackson did that when he was a freshman, and you know he actually started as a freshman. So we think that's a real advantage to this class. One of the things that maybe gets overlooked a little bit, and I think it's something that could help our team quite a bit next year.
I know you said you had 11, the early enrollees. Have you ever had that many before? And what specific things do you see from players who enroll early? What kind of benefits does that show?
Well, we haven't had that many in the past. I think there's a trend right now that more and more players are interested in doing that. It used to be sort of the exception that someone would want to do that or be in a circumstance academically to do that, but I think you see more and more players that are interested in doing that. I think from our perspective, the advantage is a guy can make an academic, social, and athletic transition in a semester that's starting not right in front of the season. In other words, he's going to, like these guys have been here since school started and hadn't had to do much but lift weights and go to school academically and socially adjust and adapt and learn how to use the academic support center and the services that are available to them. We're going to start the off-season program in a couple weeks, and we're going to have spring practice. So they have a much better opportunity to learn and grow at a little slower pace than when they start in the fall. You know, it takes us almost a week to go through 3 practices in spring practice, and we do that in 2 days in fall camp. So it's a little easier transition for them, I think, academically, socially, and athletically. And it is an advantage to their development because they'll be here in the summer, and then when they go through it in fall camp next year, it's not the first time they go through it, it's the second time they go through it. So they do enhance their development.
Coach, Wilson Love joins his brother Tyler at Alabama as one of 2 sets of brothers. I was just wondering if you would comment on their family and what Tyler has brought to the team so far.
Well, my first comment would be that meant that I got to go eat Miss Karen's cooking twice, not once. And she's a real good cook. Pecan pie was great. So, but I think it's always a good situation to at least make the offer to as to an opportunity for a family to decide whether people should go to school at the same place or not, if that's the best place for their opportunities. And I think that's the number one thing. And in this case, these guys don't play the same position. They won't be competing against each other. Not that that matters, because more than one can play the same position as long as you're a lineman and you're not a quarterback. But, you know, they're both fine young men. They're both, Tyler's been a real asset to our organization and is going to be a good player in the future. And even though Wilson's coming off of an injury, we're hopeful that he'll rehab and recover and be a good player for us as well.
Coach, with regard to the Keenan Allen recruitment, is that a situation where you were able to hold the door open, or at some point do you feel compelled to turn to somebody who's more sure of themselves?
No, I think Keenan Allen's a fine young man and a great player, and we recruited him for a long time. We have a lot of respect for the family. I think that somewhere along the line 10 days ago, the circumstances changed relative to, you know, his brother Zach getting a release and transferring, and the 2 of them wanting to go to school, and then it becomes a matter as to whether we can take both guys or not. And I think the people that could obviously had a big advantage, and we were not in a position to do that because we were full.
Coach, I have 2 just about filling needs. First of all, on the offensive line, did you feel like you got what you needed? Did you feel like you would have liked one more? How did that work out for you?
Well, I think, you know, we've sort of recruited numbers. You know, when we first came here, we were really short numbers of offensive linemen. I think our numbers are better in the offensive line. I think that tackle types are obviously more difficult to find. Getting R.E., who is a real tackle type and a real good player, was probably a real key to making us feel like we satisfied our needs. But, you know, I think everybody's got to look at numbers. You know, because of the situation, we probably had to recruit more by need in this recruiting class than ever before. And offensive line was not one of the significant needs in this class relative to numbers or quality of players that we have in the program that we've recruited in the past. Losing 6 DBs and a 7th going out for the draft, you know, made us recruit a whole bunch of DBs, all right? And we only really recruited 20 guys, and I think 7 of them are DBs. So that only leaves 13 guys for all the other positions. So, and we recruited a kicker and a punter. That's why I say that we're only had 20 guys that were position players. So we felt good about the way things broke out for us and the guys that we got. And, you know, Austin Shepard can play tackle or guard. Chad's probably just a guard or a center. And R.E.'s definitely a tackle. And I think next year, you know, we'll make a big emphasis to try to get a tackle type or two, you know, in that class.
And the second one, I guess it's just worked out that in each of the years you've been here, you've signed one quarterback per class. Is that something you intentionally do? Was Phillip just a guy that you felt like his skill level was such that you had to sign him regardless of what else was you had at the position?
Well, Phillip was one of the top guys for us at his position, and we were very pleased and happy to get him. I think what he's accomplished as a quarterback is very impressive, and you know, hopefully he can develop and improve and you know, have that same kind of career here in terms of his performance and production. But you know, we did look at some other quarterbacks. You know, we have 4 on scholarship now. I'm hopeful that all 4 of them will continue to grow and develop and be in the program, and we'll certainly be looking to recruit, you know, an outstanding player in the future. But I didn't feel a need to take another guy just to take another guy. And that's right, wrong, or indifferent. If we could have got the right guy, maybe we would have considered it, but we didn't feel a need to do that.
Coach, you mentioned the DBs on several occasions. That included a guy that was a junior college signee in Menzie. Most times coaches won't take a JUCO guy unless you feel like he can help you immediately. Just talk about what he could potentially bring to the team right away.
Well, we've been pretty fortunate that, you know, we don't recruit a lot of junior college guys. If we place them, we're interested in taking them back as long as they've done what they need to do personally and academically. But, you know, Cody 2 years ago served a need for us and worked out very well. James Carpenter worked out very well for us last year. We needed a left tackle with Andre going out early for the draft, and he certainly did a great job for us all year long. And, you know, DeQuan is a guy that we feel like has a lot of ability. We looked at him in high school. We knew him. So we feel like he's has a little maturity to him. He's played some good football where he is right now, and it's be a little bit of a disadvantage that he won't get here until June, and I think it's imperative that he get here in June so he can use the summer to kind of learn and grow and sort of get in the groove. But I do feel that he will have a very good opportunity to contribute to our team next year if he can, you know, learn and develop.